Welcome on the dais, sir. I'd like to call upon Mr. Ruchan Kumar, Security Evangelist, India and SARC, SafeNet India Private Limited. Welcome, Mr. Kumar. Welcome all the speakers, chair and session chair and co-chair for the session. Now I would like to we have Mr. Jaideep Nagund, Senior Service Line Manager, Akamai Technologies. Sorry, Mr. Nagund, we are arranging a sitting arrangement for you shortly, and sorry for the inconvenience. In the meanwhile, while Mr. Jaideep Nagund is joining us on the dais, I would request the session chair, Mr. K. Guru Raja Rao, to take over the session and coordinate it. Thank you, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. I can understand that the session after lunch is obviously going to be very heavy, and also the panel is also heavy. So, on behalf of the panel, we would like to assure that we will try to make this session as interesting as possible, and try our best to see that people are awake even after the lunch. So the subject is about the cloud computing, and as it is, that is the latest jargon now in the field of ICT. When we look at the given situation as on today, most of the state governments and most of even the corporates, they have got their own data centers and they have got their own server farms. And even especially in the government domain, within the data center, they have got multiple silos of applications. Each application has got their own hardware. If the cloud were to come first and then the application, probably better utilization of the infrastructure would have been there. But in Indian condition, in most of the cases, we started the other way. We started with the individual applications. For application, we got the hardwares. And all those hardwares are all kept in a common place. We call it a server farm, and now we are trying to convert that into a professional data centers. But still, the challenge lies there, saying that most of the hardwares, they're all in individual silos. And the percentage utilization of each of those hardwares are extremely low. So from this situation, we need to move towards the cloud, where integration of various facilities that take place, and about the technology which is available for such kind of an integration, how to move from the silos, uneconomical, undesirable situation of silos into a unified cloud. That will be the topic of this session, and I'm sure my colleagues sitting on the dais will be able to give you very interesting and very educative information about it. So I welcome the speakers.
Am I audible?
No,
they put me on. Am I audible? Yes. Okay, great, fantastic. So, good afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm not audible. Is this any better? No, it's not. Okay, I'll just pick one of these. All right. Thank you, sir. So, is this better? I guess it is. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jaideep Nagund. I head the services business of Akamai. Just a round of introduction about me personally. So, based on what sir just said, from a cloud computing perspective, we at Akamai, we are very bullish about it. From our perspective, the important thing is adoption of cloud is important. Not only for the e-governance initiatives, but also for the enterprise. It's the most logical thing to happen. in due course of time to make sure that the applications are delivered cost effectively. And we would bring to table opportunities and value propositions such as performance, security, which is a big threat that is perceived in the cloud today. And I'm sure my colleagues on the dais will agree with me that that's perceived as a huge deterrent for enterprise as well as government initiatives to adopt the cloud. So I think my colleagues on the dais as well as Akamai, we thrive to bring solutions to table so that government initiatives as well as enterprises would be able to adopt cloud and make it a more success than what it is today.
First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us this platform and to portray what all Radways contribute to so-called cloud computing and data center environment. Radway is a global leader in application delivery and application security. We proudly say that we are Gartner leaders in application delivery. The kind of solution which we have that brings much of innovation, and we can say like specifically for e-governance, I can proudly say 70% of data centers as of today are working on Radware portfolio. And I can proudly say this, today we are in Rajasthan, be it Rajasthan State Data Center, Rajasthan SWAN, Rajasthan RAP DRP projects, everywhere a complete portfolio or all appliances are already deployed there and running successfully. I will not take much of your time. Let me hand over this thing to my colleague who will basically take you the deep dive into our product portfolio. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for giving this opportunity to give this presentation for the Radware contribution for the data center and the cloud computing. In the e-governance initiatives, whether it is central MMP or state or integrated or state data centers, RAP, DRP projects. So Radware technology is the part of all these prestigious projects are there. So let's go through how the Radware technology can fit it into these initiatives. So when we talk about the data center, so data center this is a typical data center you see. So you have the different regional offices, your branch offices, and who are accessing the applications are hosted in the headquarter, which is called data center, and the users are coming from the internet as well. So as you mentioned, the e-governance projects are picking up in the country, and more online applications are coming up, then more and more, demand are coming on the data center sites also. More bandwidths you require, more applications you require, more hardware you require. Then it is creating a challenge also for the data center point of view, the availability, performance, and the security. Because once most of the applications are online, we cannot afford to have a single minute downtime for this application. So how we can achieve application availability, performance, and security? So these are some of the data center operational challenges are there, whether switch links are failing every day, application software need to be upgraded, network elements should be upgraded. So a lot of interruptions required in the data center services, but how we can manage without affording, single minute downtime. So what we should work toward for? Let's look at, so what is our requirement? First, create an application, define the service SLA. This is very, very important these days because we are hosting multiple applications in the data centers, and each application owner want to give the guaranteed service level SLAs to my user. Define the security SLA, means how we can secure the applications hosted in the data center. And then monitor and reporting also. So let's consider the moving from the traditional data centers to the virtualized data centers, so we can use the, the optimized resources can be used in the better optimum way. So considering the two layers is there, one is the network fabric you have, then the computing fabric, which consists of the servers, applications, and we are giving the services to, for the different applications. But when we talk about the SLAs for each applications, there is a one layer is missing here, which is called the application delivery layer or application security. How we can give the performance to the each applications hosted in the data centers, the security to the applications hosted in the data centers, and this layer is called ADC, application delivery layer, which is, this layer is giving you the server load balancing, means for each applications you will have the multiple applications to avoid a single point of failures and to give the better performance so that more user requests can be handled by the applications. Then the accelerations also. You want to give the better performance to your applications in terms of the TCP accelerations, SSL offloading, because due to the online transactions, most of the applications are the SSL based applications. When you talk about the SSL based application like HTTPS or other applications, you need a lot of resources from the computing like memory, CPU, so you cannot scale well. How we can offload this to the other layer and then we can handle more requests in the data center for these applications. And of course the security. So imagine that you could shape your data centers. What are the components you are looking for? Provisioning of a new applications, which means guaranteed customer experience. Securing the services means reduce the operational complexity as well. So this is now a reality. We have seen a lot of data centers are the virtualized data centers now to use in the virtualized environment, and which is covering all this components, application availability, security, and the performance. So we create applications, we are defining the service SLA now and defining the security SLA and monitoring and reporting for that. So now we have created a lot of virtualized data centers working in silos also, like SDCs as mentioned in the beginning. How we can integrate all these data centers and create a cloud for that. So, and then we can give infrastructure as a service, ADC as a service, or security as a service. The applications are hosted in the cloud environment. So what are the cloud providers looking for? First, improve customer experience and employee productivity. Enhance business agility, means we can roll out the application very quick, fast. Increase your revenues. Maintain low application infrastructure cost. So these are the components we are looking for from the cloud computing. And how we can add into that, there is a small video. Can we have the sound, please?
First, implementing server virtualization, increasing OpEx and CapEx savings, improving server utilization, and maximizing management efficiency. Next come virtualizing and consolidating the network, gaining similar benefits. This evolution has a major impact on the ADC's role, position, and deployment models, creating a need for a new application delivery paradigm. Radware introduces Virtual Application Delivery Infrastructure, named VADI, to address this need. Radware VADI architecture consists of 4 building blocks: VADCs, computing resources, VADI services, and integration into the virtual data center ecosystem. The core of Radware's VADI is a virtual ADC instance named VADC, which is separate from the computing resource on which it runs. Each VADC provides a complete set of application delivery features, such as server load balancing and acceleration. Radware offers 3 types of ADC computing resources: The first is a dedicated physical appliance running a single VADC designed for hybrid data centers. The second is Radware ADC VX, the industry's first ADC hypervisor, allowing it to run multiple VADCs on specialized ADC hardware designed for virtualized data centers and ADC consolidation projects. The third type is a soft ADC running on VMware server virtualization infrastructure designed for cloud providers and virtualized data centers. Radware Vadi transforms computer resources, ADC, and virtualization services into an integrated, agile, and scalable application delivery virtualization infrastructure. Radware Vadi extends the virtual data center agility through a set of virtual infrastructure services such as instant provisioning, VADC migration, and dynamic VADC resource allocation. Radware Vadi is fully integrated to the data center ecosystem using the vDirect plugin. vDirect plugin integration to the orchestration systems enables workflow automation and end-to-end service creation. Radware Vadi is offered as software and on-demand upgrade. Users can upgrade VADC throughput and capacity on demand, upgrade the VADC advanced services on demand, add new VADC instances on demand, and also scale out of the data center when more capacity is needed, all with no service disruption. Radware Virtual Application Delivery Infrastructure provides maximum business agility, high IT efficiency, and best investment protection. Radware Vadi makes your application delivery virtualization ready.
Okay. So, considering the requirement, the industry is providing you a lot of, because the higher capacity devices are required to cater such demand. So there are the devices are available in the market. If you consider, catering the throughput requirement up to 320 Gbps. So which is because once we are talking about the virtualization, cloud computing, then you are consolidating all the data centers to one big data center. So if we talk, then we need such devices to cater this demand. So this is one of the example what we discussed already. So you are giving the cloud services to different customers, and then by putting the Radware ADC or this ADC technology, we can give the SLA for different customers. So the most diversified, flexible, cost-effective ADC offering for the cloud providers. So what we discussed till now, it was the ADC layer which will give you the availability and the performance. Now what about the security? What are the new trends into the security of this cyber space? So let's consider some of the examples. If you see it every day in the news or very frequently these days, what happens like WordPress recovers from the huge DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service attacks. WikiLeaks, it was the famous attacks happened, which the anonymous group wrote down the sites of the MasterCard and the Visa cards for the days. And if you see the trend, what is happening like last few years, if you're considering like 4 years, 5 years back, the confidentiality and the integrity were the top priority. But now availability is the top priority. So in today's online world, when availability is threatened, it has severe impact of the business performance and the operations. If my data center is down due to DDoS attacks, that means the application is not available to my users, which are impacting the business, business completely. So if you see why the availability-based threats are on the rise, the reason, simple reason is the kind of the attacks are happening in that. One is denial of service attacks, server-side injections are happening, and distributed denial of service attacks are the major part, playing the major part for the availability. So DDoS attacks are not rare occasions on few organizations, and organizations should expect to be under attack. So there are a lot of frequent attacks are happening. I think every week there is a news in that the DDoS are happening. Significant change in the threat landscape as DDoS and DOS are becoming the top risk. On average, DDoS attacks cost companies approximately 3.5 million annually, depending on the business. So considering some attack campaigns are happening, so if you see previously only the simple attacks were happening, only one vector attacks, let's say if they are intruding into the applications, stealing the data with one vector only, but the recent attacks are the multi-vector attacks. So considering like Visa card and the MasterCard attacks, it was the 4 attack vectors were there. So the floodings were there, intrusion were there, and then DDoS were there. Considering the other attacks also which happened in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well, it was again for the 3 days, but it was having the 5 different attack vectors were there. And like in India also, like Operation India was the new, it was in the news. It was the 5 different attack vectors were there, and a lot of government sites were threatened or were down during this attack. So again, how the Redware is protecting, is giving the solutions to counter these challenges is there.
But here's why you might not. Security managers are required to fight a multitude of threats which target every layer of the business infrastructure. Each layer is critical for the business revenue generation and operation. Recent attacks show that attackers employ multi-vulnerability attacks campaigns which target the application infrastructure in several layers, making mitigation nearly impossible. For example, breaking into the Fed resulted in 400,000 stolen credit cards. The attacker gained intelligence through network and vulnerability scanning prior to the theft. The anonymous group launched the WikiLeaks revenge attacks, shutting down financial websites using multi-vulnerability DDoS attack campaign. Even if only one of the attack vectors infiltrates, the business is damaged. In order to combat the increasing threat landscape, security managers are required to deploy multiple detection and protection tools, including DOS protection, network behavioral analysis, intrusion prevention system, IP reputation, and web application firewall. But multiple tools increase costs and leave you exposed to blind spots between them. Radware's attack mitigation system offers a complete set of integrated security modules: DOS protection, NBA, IPS, reputation engine, and WAF to fully safeguard the application infrastructure against emerging network threats. Running on dedicated hardware, it thwarts multi-million packets per second attacks while maintaining excellent user quality of experience. Built-in security event management collects events from all modules and correlates them to provide enterprise-centric view of real-time and historical security status, ensuring there are no blind spots in between the security modules. In case of zero-day and DDoS attacks outbreak, our emergency response team provides 24/7 security expert services for hands-on attack mitigation assistance in order to restore service operational status. Here's an example of a multi-vulnerability attack campaign against Amazing Deals, an online business selling deal of the day coupons. John, the security manager, can see that the site is under high-risk attacks using the real-time monitoring view. Within seconds, Radware's AMS activates DOS protection, NBA, and IPS to mitigate the threat. John then drills down to the attack details to see that AMS has generated a real-time signature blocking attack traffic only. Isabella, the security specialist, can create a new security alert that will notify her in future events of multi-vulnerability attacks based on correlation of events. John can check the e-business compliance readiness by generating PCI compliance reports or even a checklist per PCI requirement. All are out-of-the-box reports. Radware provides an integrated attack mitigation system backed up with our emergency response team to make sure you have security covered.
Okay. Again, because of the data center virtualization and other things, if you see the maximum capacity of the NIPS devices in the market is around 10 Gbps or the 12 Gbps is the maximum. But there is a demand to the industry now to come up with the higher throughput of the NIPS devices as well. So Radware has come up with the solution of the up to the 40 Gbps throughput for the NIPS, which is required for these kind of data centers. So considering that, what we have seen is, I am protecting our data centers and giving the services to multiple customers. So what will happen, let's say if there is a DDoS attacks, my complete data center bandwidth which is connected to the internet is completely choked, which is affecting both the customers or all applications. How we can handle that? So you need some kind of a scrubbing centers or the security as a service. So if there is a attack for any particular customer, only this traffic will go to the scrubbing center, get inspected there, get cleaned, and come back to the data center. So in that way, we are not affecting the SLA for each customers. Otherwise, the attack on the one customer can affect the other customer SLA as well. So if you see, this is the last point. Even if we have the technology ready, so first thing is that you need the audit policies, technologies, but at the time of the attack, still you need the human expertise. And how this expertise can help you, to find out the right to protect your infrastructure at the time of the attack. So there is a video. This is called emergency response team.
ERT is an emergency response team which operates 24/7 with the sole purpose of mitigating DOS attacks for other customers or potential ones.
We have seen a government agency that was attacked and was shut down for 2 days by the anonymous group for political reasons, or as they call it, hacktivism. We've also seen gaming and gambling sites that were attacked by angry users who lost money and tried to get their money back with this action.
The team is comprised of cyberspace security experts which are very well familiar with all possible attack vectors, ready upon call to characterize any attack and implement solutions in real time.
We developed an innovative approach. The best defense is an offense. In traditional security, you stop attacks by dropping the attacking packets. However, we developed counterattack techniques that slow down or even shut down the attackers, so they give up and move to other targets.
We had an interesting case at a certain government agency recently.
Do you mean the one where we played both sides?
Yes. We had about 10 hours to prepare, so we divided the work between us.
Yotam took the attacking side and I took the defense. I started preparing a configuration for the customer while he searched for information on forums and IRC channels.
In the IRC channel, we found information about target and time, and also what tool was going to be used. I was able to download the tool and join the attackers in order to monitor all that was going on. By the time the attack started, we had a war room with both attacker and defender sides ready and waiting.
And we were online with the customer after tuning the protections based on the intelligence we gathered in advance. Then the attack started, comprising of distributed TCP, UDP and HTTP floods in very high volumes. We could already see our behavioral models blocking many attackers.
On the attacker side, the tool was constantly changing the patterns, and I was recording and generating patterns to be implemented on the device.
Once we implemented a new pattern, you could see the device immediately blocking it.
The attack lasted for about 3 hours, in which the website was up the whole time.
Defense won again.
The UT advantage is the experience from the vast amount of attacks handled by the team, the various inputs it listens to, and the deep understanding of the motivations behind the attacks. The team is also an expert with wider products, and the attack mitigation system in particular, This combination puts them in the best place to handle any possible attack.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm just going to switch the slide deck. All right. Is this on? Am I audible? Ladies and gentlemen, am I audible? Yes, yes. Okay, all right. And is the slides on? Slides are not on. Can you help me with the slides, please? It's on here. Okay, all right. We're on the slide. So I think the team from Radware has set a very good baseline for all of us to understand in the cloud computing era how important performance is, how important security is. And I think they're doing a brilliant job doing it from the data center perspective. What I'm going to do now in the next few minutes is build on what they've already said, build on what they've already demoed, and see how we can take it to the internet, how we can take it to the network, and provide acceleration, provide security. So I'm going to build on exactly what they've said. But before we do that, let's just take a couple of minutes and talk about what Akamai is. So quick round of agenda. We're going to talk about a little bit of Akamai, the technology overview, and the value proposition for e-governance initiatives. So Akamai Technologies, who is Akamai? So founded in 1998 as part of a research project, we are a 14-year-old company with $1 billion+ in revenue. We are a global worldwide operation, and our commitment to India has been there since 2005. We are operating in this country across 3 cities today, and we are servicing more than 100 customers, both from content acceleration, security, and mobility. So that's a little bit about historical data about Akamai. Moving forward to the current scenario, what Akamai does. I think we touch your lives every day. This morning, if you happen to read a newspaper online, you're getting that content from Akamai. If you happen to book your tickets from a premier airline in this country, you're getting your tickets delivered via Akamai. If you happen to renew your general insurance for your car, or you happen to take a travel insurance, you're getting that content from Akamai. So what is Akamai? So Akamai is a content delivery network. So we don't host content. We are not application development company, so we don't build websites or applications. So what does that we exactly do? We are able to take that content that's there on the internet and deliver it effectively. So think of us as the courier boys over the internet. We are the FedEx of the internet, the Indian Postal Express service of the internet. That's exactly what we do. And now, given that we are able to do all this, we can extend this offering to any online initiative that you may have today on the internet. If I have to bucket what Akamai does, I'll put it under 4 categories. Internet and cloud delivery. So irrespective whether you're using a cloud-hosted data center or you're using your own data center within your premises or within the ISP's premises, we will help you with delivery. Now, when I say we'll help you with delivery, just hang on for one slide. I'm going to talk exactly what we do. Coming to media, some of the biggest events that have happened worldwide and in this country, if you have happened to watch them on internet, you're probably getting it from Akamai. The World Cup that India won, a premier cricket sporting league that happens every year, the royal wedding that happened. I could just go on and on and on. If you have happened to watch all this over the internet, you're getting it from Akamai. Today, you access a lot of content on your tablets, your mobiles, and we can help you there, not only deliver your websites, but even streaming to your mobiles and your tablets. And last but not the least, and what our friends from Radware just said, security is important. They do a great job in your data center how to protect security. What I'm going to do is stop it at the source from where the attack comes, and I'm going to explain that in a matter of next few minutes. So Akamai's offerings are bucketed under these 4 categories. Delivery of content. So as I said, the papers that you read online, the tickets that you book, the streams that you consume, or the general insurance policies that you take online, everything is coming through Akamai. So what is Akamai? And I covered what Akamai is. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do what we do. So at the base of all this is an Akamai Intelligent Platform. Now what is an Akamai Intelligent Platform? It's a set of distributed set of servers deployed in different cities, countries, and ISPs. So to give you an analogy, let's just assume all of you sitting in front of me are Akamai servers. These are physical servers that are deployed in different data centers of different ISPs all over the world, including India. We have a very strong presence in India as well, but just to highlight certain stats. Now, the platform is a set of distributed servers on which an Akamai built software is residing, and now we are able to do a lot of things because of the software. Just to put some stats into perspective, today we have more than 120,000 servers globally distributed, and we do close to about 8 terabits per second worldwide. That's the kind of capacity this platform offers to you as you get on this platform. Now, if anybody has a lot of money, we could potentially buy these many servers and deploy it. So what's the big thing? The big thing lies in what we are able to do because of this, and that's exactly what I'm going to cover now. So this is the visualization that I'm trying to tell you. So you have the origin where you host your content. This could be a website, this could be an application, this could be an eGov application. And what we're going to do is, we're going to have these Akamai servers sitting in front of you. So if I have to map it to an analogy, let's assume I'm the server, which is hosting the content, and all of you are Akamai servers sitting in front of me. Now, the key thing to be noted over here is, as end users want to access this content, they don't have to come all the way to me. They're going to get a content from a server that's closest to them. And what our stats tell us is 90% of the users in this country are one hop away from an Akamai server, which means the content that they consume is coming from a server that's sitting in the same ISP as what they have their connectivity from. Now, there are huge benefits because of this. First of all, the latency between the server and the end user is the least. Secondly, there's also an Akamai server that's closest to your data center. So the point I'm trying to land is there's a server that's closer to the data center, there's a server that's closer to the end user, and now with all this, we are able to do a lot of magic in the cloud, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. So as you get this content from the server that's closest to you, we are able to do a couple of things. So one is content that's common, that's static, that is repeated for all users, we could potentially cache it. It's going to be delivered from a server that's sitting closest to the end user, which means from your infrastructure perspective, you will see less number of hits coming to you. That gives you scalability. You are able to deliver a more number of users for the same infrastructure that you already have. You're going to give performance to your end users. Now, your end users are getting content from a server that's closest to them, which means the page load times are going to be super fast. Third, what we can do is we're going to make it highly more available, because content that's not cacheable, content that's something that's personalized. So let's say I give you an example about booking an airline ticket. There's nothing to cache over there. I could route those requests, accelerate them all the way back to the data center where it's hosted. Thereby, even if there are problems on the internet, I'm able to route them successfully and make sure I complete the transaction. And that's exactly what I'm going to refer in the next 2 slides. So think of us as the 4th layer over the internet. You have your database layer on which you have your data, your app layer, your web layer. The network becomes your 4th layer, and that's where Akamai helps you from a cloud optimization perspective. And we are able to deliver your content across screens. And the beauty of all this is we are IPv6 ready. So the problem that's going to hit all of us very soon is the IPv6 connectivity, because the first device that comes on IPv6, you need to make sure that your infrastructure is ready to deliver content to that. And that's exactly what we can help you with as well, because we are IPv6 ready. So key value propositions: performance. Performance being the single most critical factor in multiple applications or websites. If you improve the end user experience, you're going to have a better adaptability of that online initiative, be it eGov, be it commerce, be it enterprise class applications. Security, I think our friends from Radware talked a great deal about DDoS attacks, SQL injection attacks. Now, given the fact that Akamai is sitting in between the attacker and your origin infrastructure, the attacker is actually attacking Akamai. I'm going to talk about that as well. We're going to increase the availability of your application, and we're going to make it more scalable. So let's quickly talk about acceleration, and that's going to help you improve performance. So classic scenario, you have an end user who's requesting content from content that's hosted in a data center, be it cloud, be it your own data center. What we're able to do is, first principle, find a better route back to the origin. We need not rely on the route that is advertised by the ISP. That is one of the routes we could potentially use, but given our massive deployment, we are able to find an alternate route. So even if there are cable cuts, even if there is a packet loss in one of the transit ISPs, we'll make sure that your end user's request will reach your data center, and you're able to process it. So that's the first principle. Make sure that you find the best possible performing route over the internet, and choose that. Once you have chosen that route, in which case this is the alternate route that I've chosen, I'm going to make it fatter. But before I get there, what's the impact? This is a real world example where there was a Middle East cable cut. Internet connectivity for India was seriously disrupted, But customers who are on Akamai continue to perform simply because we were able to take an alternate route. And all this happens without any manual intervention. Be it 2 a.m. in the night, you don't need to worry about it. The system autocorrects and self-corrects itself. Now, the second benefit that we bring is, now that you've found a better performing route, make it fatter. Deliver more data over the same route. So, applying TCP optimizations, we are able to transfer more amount of data between the server and the end user. Now, you could argue, hey, I'm already doing TCP optimization from my data center, but the problem is you're not, okay. The problem is you're not controlling the other end. The benefit with Akamai is we are controlling both the boxes, the one near the data center, the one near the end user, and we're able to apply TCP optimization, thereby transferring a better throughput. The third thing, and I talked about this, is edge caching. So content that's common, style sheets, JavaScripts, images, PDFs, Swift files, could all be cached and delivered off a cached network. It doesn't hit your infrastructure anymore, which means your infrastructure is going to scale. So content that is pulled once is cached, and all subsequent requests are delivered of the cache itself. Compression, that's huge. You could do compression at your origin, but that's CPU intensive. What we could do is, we could do it on your behalf, thereby reducing the overheads, reducing the compute that you need, and making sure that you are able to scale your infrastructure. This is an interesting one. We all know that a browser, when it gets the content, doesn't get it in one shot. It has to get the base page, parse it, get style sheets, JavaScripts, images, which means there's a lot of chattiness, a lot of back and forth that happens between the browser and the origin server. Now, what we are able to do is, as we get the content, parse it, deliver the content to the end user. Before the end user's browser makes a request for this content, get everything ready. Keep everything ready. We know what's coming next, and deliver whatever has been asked for from the server that's nearer to the end user. Now, all these things put together are going to give you acceleration, are going to give you performance, are able to give you scalability, and what's also able to give you reliability for your end users so that there's better adoption of your online initiative. Now, where all you can put this? This could be put in citizen services portals, self-service portals, bill payments, tax payments. We all are going to be paying advanced tax by tomorrow. Now, this is seasonality. Should they be provisioning for peak that's going to hit them tomorrow, or should they provision for average and use an elastic cloud computing platform which could help them scale when there is more demand? Government to business initiatives, e-tendering, e-bidding, education, and ticketing systems, of course, be it for bus, rail, flights, events. So these are some of the areas where Akamai can potentially help you. And last but not the least, I'm going to leave you about with security as well, because that's critical. Now, given the fact that Akamai is sitting in between you and the end users, think of this. Layer 3, Layer 4, which are the traditional attacks, the attacker is not even hitting you. It's hitting Akamai. And we're looking at a scale of 120,000 servers. So the attacker is never going to get up to you. The second thing that we have done is we have built a Layer 7 capability within those servers. So even if it's a Layer 7 attack, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, we're able to stop it at the source. It's not coming all the way to your data center, which means you're going to not have any collateral damage. Your application is going to continue with the class of service that you expect to do for your genuine users. Now, just to put some stats in perspective, the single largest attack that we have faced and seen and stopped for a user was from Asia, or sorry, for an enterprise was from Asia, and the order was 125 gigabits per second. I can trust you, ladies and gentlemen, no data center can take 125 gigabits per second of attack and make sure that the application continues to behave. This is the scale of the platform. The platform scales on itself, and the beauty of it is complementary to what you have. You don't have to do away with what you have. Keep what you have. This adds on to what you already have and works in tandem with it. So an illustration of what I just said, if attacker is attacking, it's attacking an Akamai server. Sure, they can get an Akamai server down. We'll redirect the user to one of our other servers. No big deal. So I want you to take away 4 key things. Anytime you have an online initiative, be it for eGov, be it for enterprise, be it for any type of industry, 4 value propositions: performance, security, availability, and scalability. And that's what Akamai can help you. I have my colleagues over here. If you have any more questions, we're happy to take and answer them. And I'll give it back to the chair to take it further.
Thank you very much. You had an interesting presentation. Regarding the security aspects from Radware and about the route optimization from ACMEL, which was very informative and very something which builds confidence in us, especially in the government domain, where we have got a lot of reservations in order to move towards the cloud and all that. Probably these inputs they give us some more food for thought in things. Now I welcome my friends.
I was requested to give in some kind of perspective from the users, that is from the government point of view, about what we think about the cloud and what are experiences which we've had so far. I am taking care of CCTNS project right now, which is a flagship project of Government of India, which will connect all the police stations at the central level via the state data centers. Now, right now we are facing a challenge. The challenge is that one of the companies, the SI, which is supposed to complete the work, Tulip, is having some problems, and the data center is on its way, but we don't know when it is going to come up. But we have 25th as the deadline where we expect the pilot rollouts in 2 districts in every state to come up. Now, with such a short timeline, Tulip has suggested that they can use their own data center and we can go ahead with the pilot. And the first reaction of all the stakeholders is government data, that also police data on a private data center is a big no. So even when you have cloud computing, which is fairly well established, that data centers is being used for UADI and other projects, the moment it comes to hardcore security related data, we do not trust data centers. We do not trust private data centers. So as we will evolve, I am sure that the reliability, the scalability, the security of data centers will eventually convince the government departments that they are as good as the state data centers. The second is that despite a lot of enthusiasm about new technology, we must understand that as critical infrastructure, as critical governance infrastructure moves on to technology, are we really prepared? Are we really secure? Are we really in a position where we can depend large public utilities, large public services on technology? Here, I can say with some confidence and some insight that as far as police and investigation is concerned, our ability to investigate frauds which are happening, data which is residing on data centers is fairly minimal. Live forensics is a field which is almost new to police right now in the country. And imagine a couple of years ago when there was any crime and the SHO or the IO would visit the scene of crime, and I am not exaggerating, these are actual incidents when people brought in monitors as evidence and forgot about the CPU. So now we have a situation where people are bringing in CPUs, but if you have a fraud at the data center, the first thing they may ask is, let us shut it down, we don't know how to handle this. And with availability as a key focus and the investigation capability is very limited, live forensics ability is very limited, we are very soon going to face a problem where the security aspects, the investigation abilities will also have to be increased. I would here from this forum take an opportunity to call on the private sector to educate, to conduct more sessions, to inform us, so that in future the policing is also able to come up with the latest demands of cloud computing. Finally, I would say I'll share some experiences. Right now there is a SWAN implementation which is going on. CCTNS project also requires some connectivity of its own. So in the commissionerate itself, only yesterday the BSNL lineman had gone and asked that we have come here to install the network. Now the funny thing was the BSNL person did not know why he was there, And of course, the office where he had gone, he had no idea why this person is here. So the BSNL fellow said that I'm here to install a phone. And they said that, why do you need to install a phone? Now, where do you install a phone? So this is a classical situation where we feel that when connectivity is required and when the last mile connectivity is to be given to the customer, the man on the field doesn't really know what is happening. Even for jails, they did not allow sworn operators to enter into the jail premises. There had to be a special letter from the DGP jail saying that network is required within jails and they need to enter. So these are times where governance still is at a stage where we have a long way to go. I am very happy to be here, and now we are talking continuously of cloud in a box and technology getting very mature, which means that things will look up much better. Thank you very much.
Sorry? No. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ruchin Kumar, and I am working in the field of security since last few years, and have been participated in deploying security. When I am talking about security, we have been working for the data-centric security and not the parametric or the, you can say, for the security which is basically stopping the intruders to intrude inside the networks. So we are not into IDS, IPS. We are basically have a belief that confidentiality, integrity, accessibility at the very start or at the very beginning of the data life cycle should be there to ensure that even if somebody has hacked the data, has got intrusion, has intruded successfully in the networks, should get only the garbage, not the meaningful data. The previous speaker has made my presentation more meaningful, because what I have seen in my personal reading of the CCTNS application, there are very good ways of, they have implemented good ways to ensure integrity, non-repudiation and confidentiality of the data. So if a report is lodged in the name of RAM, nobody can change and can make it sham in the way while it is in transit. So integrity and non-repudiation is there. The person who is registering that report will have to digitally sign it. It will go through the wire, nobody can change it, so integrity is there, and while it is restored in the archives for some amount of time, which is required in regulation, nobody can read it, no unauthorized person can read it, so confidentiality is there. When we talk about cloud, yes, we have seen that security is a major concern for organizations to move in the cloud. When we have recently done a survey with large organizations and asked them that have they considered cloud for their critical applications, they say no. But all they have done is virtualization, which is a sort of private cloud environment where they have consolidated the data at some central place. So virtualization has become an important part of the complete cloud infrastructure. If we see the traditional architecture where the application and operating systems were hosted on the dedicated hardware servers, now the multiple applications and OS can be ported with the help of virtualization applications on single or consolidated hardwares. So it has reduced cost. It has bring high availability in the system, infrastructure optimization, infrastructure automation, client virtualization, mobility has increased. I can move anywhere and still can access my data. Software lifecycle management, intellectual infrastructure, secured computing, and applications. I have to pay less for the licenses of different applications. I have control over the data at central location. I have consolidated most of my important resources and have reduced cost in terms of power consumption, in terms of server procurements, and all that stuff. Like I said earlier, the most important concern is security, and it has topped the list. It is coming even higher than, the concern is higher than availability and performance. When I talk about security risk, there are technology concerns, like there are no physical parameters. How to ensure that the person who is accessing the data in the cloud is the right person or not? How do I ensure federated identities? I have to use hypervisors now. These hypervisors are newer to this, you can say, to our environment, and not much of vulnerability testing has been done on these applications. Distributed storage. How to handle the network, VPN, and inter-cloud communication. What about the software platform maturity? So these are the technology concerns, and if I see from the data governance, there are some compliance issues in porting my confidential information. In the case of government institutions, they have shown great concerns in porting any kind of personal identifiable information on the cloud, even on the private cloud. There are some legal issues, audit and reporting. The visibility of data becomes the visibility is becoming quite complex. There are change control requirements which has to be there. And what about SLA? So what points should be covered under SLA when I am hosting my data on the cloud? From the service provider's point of view, what SLA I should sign with the customer, so that in any kind of security event, I should not be held responsible for the fraud which has been done by the client itself. So if we see that the different third-party bodies, organizations, or the research organizations, they have come out with a view that encryption is the fundamental technology for realizing cloud security. In the multi-tenant environment where multiple people will be hosting their data at the centralized location, how can I ensure the granularity, or how can I segregate the data on the basis of organizations? So probably if I can encrypt the data, and I can keep the control of that encryption with the different organizations, I can do that segregation. Now, encryption has been recognized universally by analysts and experts, and underlying control for cloud data sets a high watermark for demonstrating regulatory compliance adherence for data. So by encrypting the data at its very core, at the time while it is getting created, it brings a lot of compliances. So this can be counted as a best practice to protect the data, and it is automatically bringing many of the compliances along with it. We can see that many of the mandates, regulations, laws has been created to provide privacy to the data by encrypting it, by you can say by modifying it in unreadable formats so that it is available only to the genuine users. There are, in financial segment, there are PCI DSS compliance. We have our IT Act 2000, Amendment 2008. We have new IT rules 2011, which talks about integrity, confidentiality, and accessibility of the data. There are ISO frameworks which almost every new project is following, and the other laws in the other part of the world. So there are external mandates which are coming from government, regional, industry mandates. which the laws are also defining penalties and best practices. Then organizations or the government departments are having internal mandates, which is securing their core intellectual property, insider abuse concerns, and crusader abuses like WikiLeaks. This is the section 43A of Amendments 2008, which talks about that if any body corporate possessing, dealing, or handling any sensitive personal data or information in a computer resources it owns cannot protect that data, it will be liable for some penalties in the so some financial penalties can come to the organization, and there is a huge loss of reputation for the department as well. Now, when we are hosting the data at a cloud service provider's premises, whether it is an internal cloud service provider in our internal organization, which is forming a private cloud, or we are taking services from a third party as an public cloud, there can be threads that a user can authenticate into the system, and once he can spoof the identity, he can get into the system, he can share you can say he can compromise the data which is stored in the clouds. So we need to ensure that there should be a strong authentication while to ensure that only genuine users can come into the system. To ensure it, there are instruments like multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication in terms of one-time passwords, some soft tokens which can be generated, you can say on the basis of the events or on the basis of the time. In our IT Act, they talk about PKI authentication, which has been given legal status and has been like any document which has been digitally signed can be produced as a legal evidence in the court of law. So any user which is coming to the cloud, which is trying to access any application, should have extra factor authentication apart from username and passwords. Then the cloud environment, which depends on virtualization, has two components again, which there are virtual instances running with the end user, and then there are volumes which are running in the data center. So we have to ensure that the data which is residing in the volumes at the data center should be is safe, cannot be compromised by the people who are managing the data, by the system admins, by the DBAs. So data should always reside in a very confidential way, should always reside encrypted. While it is in transit and coming to the end user, to the genuine users, it is safe. There is a proper channel to bring it to the end users, and while it is accessible on the endpoints at the virtual instances, proper authentication should be there. There should be proper way that he cannot copy the data which he is not supposed to, or he is not misusing it by copying it to some unauthorized location. Then as PKI has become the part of all the projects because of some, you can say, because it has been given legal status to provide integrity and non-repudiation in our country, how we will ensure that we can digitally sign the data while the data is residing in the clouds, or how we will ensure that the key material which we have, we either in the USB tokens or on our computer can be used. Either we will have to bring the complete data to our site to digitally sign it, or we will have to send the keys to the data center again to sign the data. In both if we are bringing the data to the customer, it brings a lot of delay in the system, and if we are sending the keys, it will completely induce the vulnerabilities in the system. So we have to look at you can say a better way of doing key management, so that we can follow the PKI the way it is, and still we can manage all those keys in a secure way. So we have to think about key management solutions which is centralized, still controlled by the key owners. The keys which are residing in silos, in file servers, application and web servers, databases, mainframes, those can be brought at a central location, can always reside at the data owner's custody or in the data owner's premises. So a cloud is like a solution which we can correlate with the lockers in our general life, where we are keeping our valuables. Still, we are keeping the key in our own custody. So nobody can take out the valuables from the locker because we are having the control of the keys with ourselves. In SafeNet, we are helping financial organizations in moving, in digitally signing the financial transactions and encrypting those financial transactions. We are helping managing the digital identities in the form of PKI in digital certificates, and we are encrypting most of the classified information in the important institutions. We are one of the oldest security company and works completely into the field of encryption and authentication. Formed in 1983 and have the largest chunk of encryption engineers with us. Thank you very much. I am available at the right-hand side corner at the SafeNet table. Just feel free to drop in and ask any queries you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think most of the presentation has been on the security aspects. And as we understand, the cloud computing technology gives us an opportunity for both the service provider and the client, a situation of win-win, because the service provider can optimize all his investments in the infrastructure, and the client need not worry about the management of the IT-related things, that he can concentrate on his own main aspect of that. So basically, the cloud computing gives a win-win situation for both. Therefore, probably what we missed in this session is a sort of a cost comparison between having one's own data center or one's own capex requirement for that versus the cloud. Probably that would have given a little more insight, because mostly we had dealt with the security aspects of that, which is anyway a major concern, as many other presentations showed. Most of the customers' main concern, probably number one concern, is security, and that has been addressed very well now. So I thank all the panelists for giving a very interesting presentations. And probably we can have another 5 minutes time for any questions for the panelists. Yes, please.
I'll repeat the question for the larger audience. He's asking that what are the security challenges and what we are facing in the government. I think the basic challenge which we are facing in the government from the cloud perspective is that most of the applications which were developed when things were not as standardized, these applications have security issues. So first security vulnerability is at the application development stage itself. Most of them are not 3-tier applications. The security audits are not complete. The applications themselves are continuously evolving. They have not finished. So even if a security audit of those applications is done, since more code is written all the time, the vulnerabilities again creep in. So one basic issue is the application. Second is the standard feature for encryption is still not used in the application. So encrypted applications within government sector is still something which is very rare, and even something like one-time encryption of passwords is a policy which is used by only the best of applications. The rest of the applications are not using it. So overall I would say that encryption as a stated policy, as an accepted policy, is still not being practiced. So this leads to a lot of breaches. The third is that large number of cases where finally we have seen security breaches have happened by people who were already working on those organizations. So people who left the organization still had the passwords left, still knew what were the weaknesses, and inadequate password policies and those kind of things have led to a lot of security breaches. So that again is a issue of concern. Last is that as things get more competitive, there is always some cost cutting somewhere or the other. So security finally is one of those things where we always tend to cut down our cost on. So whether it is even a simple thing like antivirus machines on government computers, or even for that matter having authentic OSs on the system. So those things are also issues. We may have boxes of software, authentic software paid for but not being installed. We have antiviruses not installed on the machine. So overall I would say that the vulnerabilities are huge, and we are very lucky that so far we have not had major crashes, only few incidences here and there, but we must brace up for all the challenges. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, speakers, for drawing attention to the valuable points and sharing your insight with us. As a token of appreciation for being part of eGov Knowledge Exchange and sharing your time and insight with us, we have small mementos as a token of appreciation. I request the session chair, Mr. K. Guru Raja Rao, to kindly present the memento to Mr. Sanjeev Chauhan, Technology Head, North and East India, Redware, as well as Mr. Aman Madhok, the Regional Head of North and East India, Redware, both the representatives of Redware. Thank you. Now I request the session chair to kindly give the memento to Mr. Jaideep Nargund, Senior Service Line Manager, Akamai Technologies. Mr. Jaideep Nargund, please. I request the session chair to give a memento to Mr. Ruchan Kumar, Security Evangelist, India and SAC SafeNet India Private Limited. We can have more clapping from the audiences, please. Thank you. And to our co-chair, I request the session chair to present a memento to our co-chair, Mr. Sharat Kaviraj, SP of State Crime Record Bureau. Lastly, I request the co-chair, Mr. Sharat Kaviraj, to present the memento to our session chair, Mr. K. Guru Raja Rao, CMD, Gujarat Informatics Limited. Thank you all for the session. Thank you.